something so special for you guys today, and I'm so excited to share my thoughts on 2 new scotches that I have quickly fallen in love with. So if you know me, and you know Bill, we both really also enjoy scotch. It's not just all bourbon, it's not just all rye or American whiskey. We really enjoy scotch, especially peated scotch. And we are huge fans of Bruichladdich. Bruichladdich is one of our favorite Islay distilleries. We love the classic Laddie, we love the Port Charlotte 10-year, the Octomores, all fantastic offerings, especially for scotch lovers, especially for peated scotch lovers. So when we found out Bruichladdich was going to release a Port Charlotte 18-year and a Bruichladdich 18-year, I was like, oh yeah, we gotta get these. And guess what? We finally got them. So I'm gonna do a double review today. First, I'm gonna do the review of the Bruichladdich 18-year. This is kind of like your classic Laddie, but 18 years old. This one comes in at 100 proof. It's around $200. It's actually just a little bit under $200. Then over here on my other side, I have the Bruichladdich Port Charlotte 18-year. This one is heavily peated, so if you're a peat head out there, check this one out. This one comes in at 108.6 proof, so it's a little bit more proof. A lot of peat, a lot of deliciousness. Now let's dive in. Let me share you my thoughts. I'm gonna move this one to the side. We'll come back to that one next. I always like to share my thoughts on the non-peated offering before I dive into the peat because, well, kind of taints your palate just a little bit. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you have not hit that subscribe button, what are you doing? Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button, leave a comment and let me know if you like scotch or if you're just here to hang out with me and watch this video. And if you do like scotch, what is your favorite scotch right now? All right, now let's dive into this first pour. Cheers to you. All right, on the nose. On the nose, this one is so smelling sweet. It smells like you stepped into a spring floral day. You've got notes of vanilla, you've got honeysuckle, caramel. It reminds me of springtime, like when you're just walking through a field of flowers. It's very like springy smelling, and it smells like very sweet, syrupy honeysuckles, like really vibrant, like even citrusy notes like orange peel. Definitely get some of that caramel sweetness, even some apple juice. Yeah, I really like the nose on this one. It smells fantastic. It smells like you want to take a bite of like dried oranges, mandarins, drizzled in some honey. That would be good. Sounds pretty good. All right, let's taste it. On the palate, you get some of those really similar notes actually. You get that apple juice, that caramel, that vanilla, orange peel, honeysuckle. Kind of dries a little bit toward the back of the palate, but then you also get that malty influence, and it's really fantastic, honestly. You know, I've thought this was a really interesting thing to consider, but when I drink bourbon, sometimes if it's like 18 years old, I can taste the oak, right? It's like super thick oak. But when I taste a scotch, a non-peated scotch, I don't get a whole ton of oak on this. Like, it just tastes more floral, more fruity, and I really like it. But you know why scotch doesn't actually taste overly oaky? It's because the bourbon took all the oak. That's right. So let me read a little bit about this bottle real quick, and then I'm gonna get into the other bottle. I'm gonna tell you my scores on these and if I think they're worth the price. So this one right here in front of me, this is a single malt that has matured exclusively on Islay, primarily in ex-bourbon casks. The bourbon cask, together with a smaller number of sauternes and port casks, are vatted and married for 9 months before bottling to balance Bruichladdich signature floral and fruity character, which is exactly what I get out of this. It's fruity, it's floral. I told you it reminds me of actually being like in a field of spring flowers, eating honeysuckles as a kid. It's not as sweet as the classic Laddie. It definitely tastes a little bit drier. And I think, personally for me, I think I actually like the classic Laddie better than this. I'm not saying that there's not like some complexity to it. I'm not saying that it's not rounded for being 18 years old. I think it's fantastic. But personally for me, I'm gonna spend that money on the classic Laddie. And my score on this one is actually gonna be 3 corks out of 5. It's a good score. It's kind of middle of the road. It's nothing that's like, woo, best thing I've ever tasted, but it's also not bad. I like it. It's good. Now let's move on to the next bottle. The next bottle is one I'm also very excited about. And like I told you at the beginning of the video, this is the Port Charlotte 18-year-old. So they have the Port Charlotte 10-year, which is heavily peated, just like this. This one comes in at 108.6 proof. I love the Port Charlotte 10-year. It's actually one of my very, very favorite peated scotches. It's fantastic. Now I'm excited to try this one and tell you my thoughts on it, because what if it's better? What if it's that good? All right, here we go. Holy moly. This one is next level on the nose. This is completely different experience than the other one on the nose. Obviously it's peated, so that makes a big difference too, but for being peated, there is so much flavor and complexity on the nose. This one's got some of those honeysuckles, but what I noticed right away is it also has some deeper, darker red fruits, like some plums, some dark cherries, apples. Still get some of those caramel and vanilla notes, but it's so rich, so rich. Even like a cherry tobacco. Like I don't know if you've ever smelled cherry tobacco, but it's like very specific. Cherry tobacco, and then there's that char and that peat. And that note that actually reminds me, if you literally charred a barrel, and you know how you see them char the barrels, that really, really like fiery smell that's like burned wood? I get that out of this. But it's not overly charred. It actually smells really fantastic on the nose. Now let's taste it. Oh my Lord. This is so good. This is so good. This is like one of the best peated scotches I've ever tasted in my life. And that is not an understatement. I've had a lot of Octomores. This is better. This is actually better. Off the hip, there's so much complexity coming through on this one. Right up front, you get those red fruit notes that I was just talking about. Then it kind of goes into these leathery tobacco notes along with that peat, but it's not like this overly like, whenever something says heavily peated, like some people just think you're just gonna like be drinking smoke, but it's so beautifully done, so well done, that it's just balanced. That peat actually brings out more of those floral notes. It brings out more of those dark red fruits. It actually enhances the experience of the fruity notes, because it's like this back and forth of this sweet and peat, but it's in perfect harmony. I don't know how to explain that, because I'm not like the perfect peat artist, but what I think about this is like artistry in a bottle. It really is that good. But overall, the flavor on this one is so good. It really is. It's fantastic. It's oily on the palate. It doesn't dry out. And the finish just sits there. You get that sherry influence, which actually, speaking of sherry, let me tell you a little bit about this one real quick. This one was matured in 74% refill sherry casks and 26% refill French oak wine casks. So you definitely get on the finish, you get some of that sherry influence. You get the peat, but the finish gives you that perfect balance of smoky and fruity, and it's really fantastic, and I love it, and that's why I'm gonna give this one 4.5 corks out of 5. So let's talk about the price tag of this one, because this one is a little bit more expensive, so it's like right at that $200 mark. The other one I just did was a little under that $200 mark. When I think of this and I compare it to some of those Octomores run $200 to $300. This one's right at $200. I would buy this one all day long over the Octomores, mainly because this is probably one of the best scotches I've ever tasted in my life, and I think it's fantastic and it's really great. And this is not an ad. I literally just really like this bottle of scotch. It's fantastic. I'm gonna enjoy the heck out of it. So that's my thoughts on this. I think it is absolutely worth $200. I would buy it at $200 all day long. I'm just gonna enjoy this, and it's really good. So those are my thoughts on this. Let me know if you've tried these. Let me know if you're interested in trying these. That's all I've got for you today. Thank you. Have a fantastic day. I'm Dara. I'm the Average Drinker, and I'll see you next time.